While the world is distracted, a tectonic shift in global power is happening in plain sight. Many assume the G7 nations and the US dollar still run the world, but they are about to be blindsided. A new economic alliance, representing nearly half the world's population, is getting organized. By 2026, this coalition BRICS will be ready to mount its biggest challenge yet to the unipolar system. This isn't a distant prediction. It's a timeline for a shockwave that will be felt in every market on Earth. For decades, the world ran on a unipolar model, with the G7 nations at the center and the US dollar as the bedrock of global trade. This gave the United States what's been called an exorbitant privilege, the power to influence the global economy. But that old order is cracking. The G7 nations face sluggish growth, projected at just over 1% for 2026. More importantly, a crisis of confidence began after the 2008 financial crisis and accelerated when Russia's foreign reserves were frozen. That move served as a global warning. Your access to the economy is conditional. This kicked off a search for an alternative system. That alternative is BRICS. Once just an investment acronym, it is now a full-blown geopolitical coalition. On January 1st, 2024, it welcomed Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, and the UAE, with Indonesia joining in 2025. This expanded bloc is a new global force. Economically, the shift is staggering. Measured by purchasing power parity, the BRICS bloc already overtook the G7. By 2026, BRICS nations are on track to account for over 35% of global GDP. And this expansion is strategic, giving the bloc influence over the world's energy spigot, vital trade routes like the Suez Canal, and fast-growing new markets. The BRICS challenge is built on three pillars. First, dominance over resources. The expanded BRICS is a commodity superpower. Member nations account for nearly 30% of the world's oil production, produce over half of the world's rice, and have a chokehold on the strategic minerals needed for modern technology. Second, the De-Dollarization master plan. It's about creating a financial universe that doesn't depend on the US dollar. BRICS nations are rapidly switching to trade in their local currencies. They've launched their own new development bank to fund projects. The final piece is BRICS Pay, a payment system designed to link member countries and completely bypass the Western-controlled SWIFT system. Third, control over world trade corridors. With its new members, BRICS has gained influence over choke points like the Suez Canal and the Strait of Hormuz. Simultaneously, they are building new routes like the International North-South Transport Corridor, creating a web of connectivity centered on the Global South. 2026 is the year these strategies reach critical mass. India is set to host the BRICS presidency, and its leadership is expected to drive BRICS Pay. This political push aligns with unstoppable economic momentum. The growth gap between BRICS and the G7 is widening, creating a magnetic pull for other nations. By 2026, the bloc's new members will be fully integrated, turning a group of powerful nations into a cohesive economic coalition. It's the moment all the pieces click into place. The shock will be the quiet realization in Western capitals that their global operating system now has a powerful competitor. It's not the collapse of the dollar, but the definitive end of its monopoly. The world is shifting to a multipolar order, with the expanded BRICS as its main engine. The alliance has finally assembled the critical mass it needs: demographic weight, economic momentum, resource dominance, and an independent financial infrastructure. The question is no longer if this new order will arrive. By 2026, its architecture will be firmly in place.